She was supposed to be easy to kill. A fighter drowning in her dead brother's debts, bleeding out her life in underground rings for men who bet on her pain. But when the 7-foot Nephilim was sent to end her bloodline, something impossible happened. She didn't run. She didn't beg. She looked at the monster with dual-colored eyes and asked the one question that shattered 8 centuries of obedience. Why? Now heaven wants them both dead. Hell wants to corrupt what they've become. And the connection forming between them. This bond that lets her heal wounds meant to be eternal, that makes his warring halves finally work as one, is either going to save them both or destroy everything the celestial world has built over 10,000 years. Because Maya Cardoso doesn't just heal bodies, she heals souls. And the angel-demon hybrid who was sent to execute her is about to discover that the most dangerous thing in the universe isn't power. It's a broken woman who's finally found something worth fighting for. But when his former mentor arrives with an army and 3 words written in holy fire, 3 days, surrender, they'll have to make an impossible choice. Hide forever as fugitives, or stand and fight a war that will decide whether beings like them deserve to exist at all. The problem? She just awakened a gift that terrifies heaven more than any demon ever could. And he just chose her over his only chance at redemption. The blood on her knuckles wasn't hers. Maya Cardoso stood in the center of the makeshift ring, chest heaving, while the man twice her size lay unconscious at her feet. 300 people packed into the basement of a nightclub that pretended to be abandoned screamed around her. Money changed hands. Bets settled. She didn't hear any of it. She heard her brother's voice instead. Diego, the last time she saw him, 6 months ago, shaking like a leaf. Just 1 more week, Maya, I swear. 1 more week, and I'm clean. He wasn't clean. He was dead. They found him in an alley 3 weeks ago with a needle in his arm and her name on his lips. The referee grabbed her wrist, raised her arm. Victory. Her 5th this month. The purse would cover rent and maybe half of what Diego owed before he disappeared. The other half? That debt transferred to her the moment his heart stopped. Maya pulled her hand free and pushed through the crowd. Bodies pressed too close. Sweat and cigarette smoke and something else. Something that made her skin crawl. Like ozone before a storm. She'd been feeling it for weeks now. Sensing things. Presences in empty rooms. Shadows that moved wrong. Exhaustion. The rational part of her brain insisted. You're just tired. But the irrational part, the part that woke her at 3 a.m, drenched in sweat from dreams she couldn't remember, whispered something else entirely. She made it to the locker room. Empty. Thank God. Her hands shook as she unwrapped the tape from her knuckles. Red stained the white cloth. She'd split skin again, 4th time this month. Her body was breaking down, 28 years old, and she felt 60. The door opened behind her. Maya spun, fists up instinctively. A man stood in the doorway. No, not a man. Too tall. 7 feet at least, shoulders that barely fit through the frame. Dark hair pulled back, face carved from granite, and eyes that made her breath catch. One golden, one red. He stared at her like he was deciding something, like she was a problem he needed to solve. They're coming for you, he said. His voice was deep enough to feel in her chest. In approximately 4 minutes. Maya didn't lower her fists. Who are you? Someone who's been watching you for 3 weeks. He stepped inside, and the temperature dropped. Actually dropped. Her breath misted in the air. Someone who was sent to kill you. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Fight or flight screamed through every nerve. But she'd learned years ago in group homes and foster care that running just meant dying tired. Then why are you here telling me about it? Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe. Like he hadn't expected her to ask that. Because you're not what they said you'd be. He moved closer. Each step deliberate, measured, like a predator that knew the prey couldn't escape. They said you'd be weak, fragile, easy. Maya's laugh came out bitter. Clearly they don't watch underground fights. They don't care about your fists. He stopped 3 feet away. This close, she could see the veins in his forearms. They pulsed with light. Actual light. Gold on the left arm, black on the right. They care about what you'll become. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. His golden eye fixed on her. The dreams, the presences you feel, the way you knew I was outside your apartment last Tuesday at 2 a.m. Ice flooded her veins. She had known. She'd woken up knowing someone was watching. She'd grabbed the baseball bat from under her bed and stood by the door for an hour before whatever it was left. What are you? Nephilim. The word tasted wrong in the air. Ancient, heavy. Half angel, half demon, an abomination, according to the ones hunting you. This was insane. She was concussed. That had to be it. The last punch had scrambled her brain. But then the lights overhead flickered, and she felt it. That ozone sensation magnified 1,000 times. Coming from him. The ones hunting me, she repeated slowly. What do they want? To kill you before you awaken. He tilted his head, studying her. Your bloodline carries something. Power that could expose the world we've kept hidden for millennia. They sent me to eliminate the threat. But you're not going to. I haven't decided yet. Honest, at least. She could work with honest. Why would I believe any of this? He raised his right hand. The veins turned completely black. Shadows peeled off his skin like living things, writhing in the air between them. The temperature plummeted. Frost formed on the mirror behind her. Maya's body screamed at her to run, but something else, something deeper, recognized what she was seeing, like a memory she'd never had. Because part of you already knows I'm telling the truth. He closed his fist, and the shadows vanished. And because in 2 minutes, 3 demons are going to walk through that door looking for you. Demons. Lower level. Scouts sent by the infernal faction. They want you alive. To corrupt your bloodline instead of ending it. His jaw tightened. That would be worse. Worse than death? You have no idea what they do to bloodlines like yours. The door exploded inward. 3 figures stepped through the wreckage. They looked human at first glance. Second glance revealed the wrongness. Eyes too reflective. Movements too fluid. Smiles too wide. Maya Cardoso, the one in front, hissed. His voice layered, like multiple people speaking at once. You're coming with us. Dadiawa. Nephilim moved. She'd seen fast before. She'd fought trained fighters, men who dedicated their lives to speed. This was different. This was inhuman. He crossed the space between them in a blink, grabbed the first demon by the throat, and slammed it into the wall hard enough to crack concrete. The other 2 lunged. Maya didn't think. She grabbed the metal stool near the lockers and swung. It connected with the second demon's skull. The impact vibrated up her arms. The creature stumbled, turned, toward her, and something ancient and hungry looked out through its eyes. Oh, it breathed. You have no idea what you are, do you? The Nephilim's hand punched through its chest from behind. Black blood sprayed across the floor. The demon shrieked and dissolved into smoke. The third one ran. The Nephilim let it go. He turned to her, breathing hard, veins still pulsing black. His red eye glowed in the dim light. We need to leave. Now. Maya looked at the destruction around them. At the, impossible things she'd just witnessed. At the blood on her hands that suddenly felt meaningless compared to whatever this was. I have questions. You'll have time for questions when we're not about to be swarmed. He grabbed her arm. His skin burned like fever. Are you coming? Or am I carrying you? She should say no. Should demand answers. Should call the police or a psychiatrist or someone. Instead, she heard herself say, Where are we going? Somewhere they can't follow easily. His grip tightened. Not painful, but firm. Somewhere I can figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do with you. Comforting. I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here because I made a choice 3 seconds ago that might cost me everything. His golden eye met hers, and for a moment, she saw something in his face that looked almost human, almost vulnerable. So move. Maya grabbed her jacket, her phone, her keys. Everything she owned fit in a duffel bag anyway. Story of her life. They left through the back exit into an alley that smelled like rain and rot. The Nephilim didn't let go of her arm. His head turned, scanning the darkness like he could see things she couldn't. "What's your name?" she asked. He didn't look at her. "Azrael. The angel of death. Former angel, current abomination. But yes." She laughed. Actually laughed. Because what else could she do? Her brother was dead. She was drowning in his debts. And apparently, the supernatural world wanted her eliminated or enslaved. "Something funny?" "Yeah," Maya said. "I was just thinking that this is still better than my Tuesday." Azrael finally looked at her. Really looked at her. And something shifted in his expression. Something she couldn't name. "You're either insane or the strongest human I've ever met. Can it be both?" He almost smiled. Almost. Then his body went rigid. His eyes, both of them, began to glow. Gold and red light spilled into the alley. "Run," he said quietly. "What?" "Run." Maya ran, her legs burned, lungs screaming for air, but she didn't stop. Behind her, the sound of impact echoed through the alley. Metal tearing, concrete shattering, and something else. A roar that didn't belong to anything human. She risked a glance back. Azrael stood in the center of the alley, surrounded by 4 figures dressed in white. Not clothing. Their skin was white. Porcelain white. Unnatural. They moved like water, flowing around his attacks. And every time they touched him, his body jerked like he'd been electrocuted. Angels. Had to be. One of them turned toward her. Its face was beautiful in a way that hurt to look at. Too perfect. Too symmetrical. Eyes that held no warmth, no recognition of her humanity. "The abomination protects the bloodline," it said. Its voice chimed like bells. Wrong bells. Funeral bells. How predictable. Azrael's hand shot out and grabbed the angel's throat. Black veins crawled up his arm, spreading across his chest. His red eye blazed. "She's under my protection," he snarled. "Tell Sariel if he wants her. He goes through me." The angel smiled. "He was hoping you'd say that." Light exploded from its body. Maya hit the ground, hands over her face, as the alley turned into a supernova. Heat washed over her. The smell of burning ozone filled her nose. When she looked up, blinking away spots, Azrael was on his knees. Steam rose from his skin. The white figures surrounded him. No. She didn't know why that single word carved itself into her brain. Didn't know why every instinct she'd honed over 28 years of surviving suddenly screamed at her to do something, anything, instead of running like he'd told her to. Maya grabbed a piece of broken pipe from the ground and charged. The nearest angel turned. Surprise flickered across its perfect face. She swung with everything she had. The pipe connected with its skull. The sound was like hitting marble. Pain exploded through her hands. The angel stumbled back one step. Then it looked at her with something that might have been curiosity. "Fascinating," it murmured. "The human thinks she can fight us." Azrael moved. Even injured, even outnumbered, he was faster than anything she'd ever seen. He grabbed 2 of the angels and hurled them into the wall. Brick exploded. One didn't get up. "I told you to run," he growled at her. "I don't take orders well." "I noticed." He blocked a strike aimed at his head, caught the angel's wrist and twisted. Something cracked. The angel showed no pain, just recalculated and attacked from a different angle. They were going to lose. Maya could see it, could feel it. 4 against 1, and she was dead weight. Worse than dead weight. A distraction. Then the world tilted. Not physically. Something inside her shifted, like a door she didn't know existed suddenly cracking open. Heat flooded through her chest, down her arms, into her hands. The angel closest to her froze, its perfect face contorted. Impossible. She hasn't awakened. The bloodline is dormant. Clearly not, Azrael said. He sounded as confused as Maya felt. The heat in her hands intensified. She looked down. Her skin glowed. Faint, barely visible, but there. Golden light pulsed beneath the surface, traveling up her veins like liquid fire. It should have hurt. It didn't. The angels retreated. Actually retreated. Their formation broke. "Report this to Serial," one of them commanded. "The bloodline is active. Elimination is now priority." They vanished. Not. Walked away. Vanished. Like they'd never been there at all. Maya stared at her hands. The glow faded, leaving only the dried blood from the fight earlier. Her knuckles were split again. She hadn't even noticed. What just happened? Azrael didn't answer immediately. He leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Burns covered his arms where the angels had touched him. They looked painful, deep. But even as she watched, they began to heal, skin knitting back together, leaving only faint scars. "You awakened," he finally said. "Partially. What does that mean?" "It means we're out of time." He pushed off the wall, wincing. "And it means I can't kill you even if I wanted to." "Why not?" He looked at her, really looked at her, and something in his expression made her chest tighten. "Because you just saved my life." His jaw worked. "I'm bound now, whether I like it or not. Bound. Nephilim law. Old law. If someone saves your life, you owe them a debt. A blood debt." He touched his chest, right over his heart. "Until it's repaid, I can't harm you. Can't abandon you. Can't let you die." Maya processed this. "So you're stuck with me. We're stuck with each other." He started walking, favoring his left leg. "Come on. We need to get off the street before they send something worse." "What's worse than angels?" "You really want to find out?" Fair point. She followed him through a maze of alleys and side streets. The city looked different at this hour. 3 a.m, and the only people out were the ones with nowhere else to go. Homeless men huddled near steam vents. A woman in a stained coat talked to someone who wasn't there. Maya had been that desperate once, before the fights, before she learned her body could be a weapon worth paying for. Azrael led her to an industrial district that looked abandoned. Warehouses with broken windows, railroad tracks overgrown with weeds. He stopped in front of a building that might have been a factory once. "Home sweet home," he muttered. Inside was cleaner than she expected. One large open space with high ceilings, a mattress in the corner, a table with books stacked on it, weapons mounted on the wall, swords, knives, things she didn't have names for. "You live here?" "I exist here." He grabbed a bottle from the table, uncorked it with his teeth, and took a long drink. When he lowered it, she caught the scent. Whiskey. Strong enough to strip paint. Living implies I have a life. I have a mission. Had a mission. Past. Tense, apparently. Maya dropped her duffel bag on the floor. Her body ached. Her hands throbbed. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving only exhaustion and the creeping realization that her life had just been shredded. "Explain it to me," she said. "All of it. What I am. What you are. Why they want me dead." Azrael studied her for a long moment. Then he gestured to a chair that had seen better days. "Sit. This is going to take a while." She sat. He remained standing, pacing like a caged animal. "Your bloodline," he began, "goes back 300 years, to a woman named Isabel Cardoso. She was a healer, a real one. could cure diseases that should have killed. The church thought she was blessed. The celestial court knew better. What was she? A mutation. A human born with the ability to channel divine energy without being divine herself. It should have been impossible. But it happened. And when she died, the ability passed to her children. Dormant in some generations. Active in others. Maya's grandmother had been a healer. People came from 3 towns over when the doctors failed. She died when Maya was 10. Before she could explain the remedies, the prayers, the way she knew things she shouldn't. The Celestial Court has been tracking your family for centuries, Azrael continued, waiting to see if the bloodline would die out or manifest again. You're the first in 4 generations to show signs. What signs? The sensitivity, sensing presences, the dreams, and now, apparently, the ability to channel light. He stopped pacing and faced her. They think you're a threat, that if you fully awaken you could expose the supernatural world, or worse, tip the balance between celestial and infernal power. That's insane. I'm nobody. I fight in illegal rings to pay off my dead brother's debts. You're not nobody. His voice was quiet, dangerous. Not anymore. The weight of it hit her all at once. Her brother was dead, her life was over, and apparently, she was the target of a war she didn't even know existed. She laughed. It came out broken. You okay? Azrael asked. No. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I'm really not okay. He looked uncomfortable, like he didn't know what to do with human emotion. After a moment, he grabbed the whiskey bottle and held it out. This helps. Temporarily. She took it, drank. The burn was immediate and clarifying. So what happens now? She asked. Now? Azrael's expression darkened. Now I figure out how to keep you alive long enough to understand what you're capable of. And then we deal with Serial. Who's Serial? My former mentor. The one who gave me the order to kill you. His hands clenched into fists. The one who's been hunting abominations for 1,000 years. And you think we can stop him? Azrael met her eyes, both of them glowing faintly in the dim light. Gold and red. I think we don't have a choice. Maya woke to the sound of metal hitting metal. She bolted. Upright, disoriented. Sunlight streamed through broken windows, turning dust motes into gold. For a second, she didn't remember where she was. Then it all crashed back. The fight, the angels, the impossible man with dual-colored eyes. The sound came again, rhythmic, deliberate. She found Azrael in the center of the warehouse, shirtless, moving through forms with a sword that looked like it had been forged in another century. His body was a map of scars, white lines crisscrossing his back, his chest, his arms. Some looked old, some looked recent. He moved like violence was a language he'd spent lifetimes learning to speak fluently. You're staring, he said without turning around. You have eyes in the back of your head? I have awareness of everything within a 30-foot radius. He completed the form and lowered the sword. When he faced her, she saw more scars, one across his collarbone, another along his ribs. It's how I've stayed alive this long. How long is long? 843 years, give or take. Maya absorbed that. 8 centuries. She couldn't wrap her mind around it. Do you age? Slowly. Very slowly. He grabbed a towel from the table, wiping sweat from his face. I'll look like this for another few centuries. Then the degradation starts. Most Nephilim don't last that long. Why not? Because we're hunted. By angels who see us as mistakes that need correcting. By demons who want to corrupt us. By humans who sense something wrong and fear it. His jaw tightened. We exist in the cracks, and cracks have a way of closing. There was something in his voice, not self-pity. Resignation. Like he'd accepted his fate long ago. Maya stood, joints protesting. Her body felt like she'd been hit by a truck. multiple trucks. I need to train, she said. Azrael raised an eyebrow. Train? You said they're coming back, that I need to understand what I'm capable of. She rolled her shoulders, feeling muscles pull. So teach me. You're exhausted. You were in a fight 12 hours ago, attacked by demons, nearly killed by angels, and awakened a power you don't understand. Most humans would be catatonic. I'm not most humans. He studied her with an expression she couldn't read. Then he crossed the space between them in 3 strides. Fast. Not inhumanly fast, but fast enough to make her step back instinctively. Show me what you can do, he said. What? Hit me. Maya looked at him. At the scars, the muscle, the sheer size of him. You're 7 feet tall. 6'11". And you took on a demon last night with a metal stool. He gestured to himself. Come on. Show me what makes you think you can survive what's coming. Pride flared hot in her chest. She'd spent her whole life being underestimated. Too small, too female, too broken by a childhood in the system. She threw a jab. He blocked it casually. Again. She threw a cross. He deflected. A hook. A uppercut. Each one blocked or redirected with minimal effort. It was humiliating. You're good, he said. Against humans. Against things that follow human rules. He caught her next punch in his palm, holding her fist steady. But we don't follow those rules. Heat exploded through her hand where he touched her. Not painful. Electric. Like every nerve in her body suddenly came alive. She gasped, tried to pull back. He held firm. You feel that? His voice was low. Dangerous. That's the bond forming. Blood recognizes blood. Power recognizes power. Let go. Not yet. His golden eye glowed brighter. Push back. Use what you felt last night. I don't know how. Yes, you do. Stop thinking. Just feel. Maya closed her eyes. Felt the heat in her hand spreading up her arm. Into her chest. It built like pressure. Like something trying to escape. She stopped fighting it. Let it flow. Light burst from her palm. Azrael released her immediately, stepping back. His hand was red where she'd touched him. Not burned. Marked. Like a brand. What did I do? Maya stared at her hand. The glow was already fading. You channeled. He flexed his fingers, studying the mark. Raw and uncontrolled, but you channeled divine energy. Is that what Isabel could do? Isabel could heal mortal wounds, cure diseases, even bring people back from the edge of death. He looked at her with something that might have been respect. You have the same gift. Maybe stronger. I don't want it. Doesn't matter what you want. You have it. The question is what you do with it. Maya sank onto the chair. Her hand still tingled. The exhaustion was back, worse than before. Using that power, whatever it was, had drained something essential from her. Does it always take this much out of me? At first. You'll build tolerance. Azrael grabbed 2 bottles of water from a crate, tossed her one. But every time you use it, you light up like a beacon. Every supernatural creature within 5 miles knows exactly where you are. Great, so I'm a walking target. You were already a target. Now you're a target with a weapon. He drank half the bottle in one go. We need to get you stronger, fast, because when Sariel comes, and he will come, you need to be able to defend yourself. Can you beat him? The question hung in the air. Azrael's expression shuddered. No, he said finally. Sariel trained me, molded me. He knows every move I'll make before I make it. His hands clenched. He's also the closest thing I've had to a father in 8 centuries. Fighting him means destroying the last connection I have to what I used to be. The pain in his voice was raw, unguarded. For a moment, she saw past the scars and the violence to something achingly human. What were you? She asked quietly. Before? A weapon. A good one. He set the bottle down harder than necessary. Sariel found me after I fell. After I was transformed. I was feral. Didn't understand what I'd become. He gave me purpose, direction, taught me to control the demon side, to use both halves of my nature instead of being torn apart by them. What made you fall? His jaw worked. I disobeyed. There was a girl. Human. Innocent. Angels were ordered to let her die because her death served some larger plan. I couldn't do it. Saved her instead. And they punished you for saving a life? They punished me for choosing free will over obedience. His red eye flared. In the celestial court, free will is the greatest sin. Angels are extensions of divine law. We don't question. We don't deviate. When I did both, I became this. Maya thought about that. About a system that punished compassion. That turned someone into a monster for refusing to let an innocent die. Your court sounds like shit, she said. Azrael laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was rough, like he didn't use it often. Yeah, he agreed. It really is. Something shifted between them. Some invisible wall cracking. He was still dangerous, still deadly. But underneath the centuries of violence and isolation, there was someone who'd made the same choice she would have made. Someone who'd paid for it ever since. Why did Sariel send you to kill me? She asked. If he trained you, if he cared about you, why make you do this? Because he's testing me. Azrael's voice went cold. Sariel believes in absolutes, law over mercy, duty over feeling. Sending me after you was his way of seeing if I'd finally learned that lesson. He looked at her. I failed. Again. Good. Good? Yeah, good. She stood, ignoring the protest from her muscles. Because if you'd succeeded, you'd be exactly what they wanted. A weapon with no will of its own. Being a weapon was simpler. Simple isn't the same as right. He stared at her like she'd said something in a language he'd forgotten. Then his body went rigid. Both eyes began to glow. Get down. What? The window exploded inward. Glass rained down as 3 figures crashed through. Not angels this time. Something else. Humanoid but wrong. Skin like ash. Eyes like coals. The temperature spiked. Heat washed over her in waves. Demons. Real ones. Not the scouts from last night. The Infernal Court sends its regards, one of them said. Its voice crackled like fire. The girl comes with us, alive. Azrael stepped in front of Maya. His veins turned black. Shadows peeled from his skin, writhing like snakes. Over my corpse. The demon smiled. That can be arranged. They attacked. Azrael met them head-on, sword appearing in his hand like it had materialized from shadow. Metal screamed against something harder than metal. Fire burst from the demon's hands. He dodged, impossibly fast, and drove his blade through the first one's chest. It dissolved into ash and sulfur. The other 2 adapted, flanked him. One went high, one went low. He couldn't block both. Maya didn't think. She lunged forward, hand outstretched, and light erupted from her palm. It hit the demon going for Azrael's legs. The creature shrieked and recoiled, its ashen skin blistering where her light touched. Holy energy, it hissed. The bloodline is active. Azrael used the distraction, spun and decapitated the second demon in one fluid motion. The third retreated to the broken window. This changes nothing, it said. The girl will be ours, one way or another. It vanished in a burst of flame. Azrael stood there, chest heaving, covered in ash and sweat. His eyes slowly returned to normal, gold and red, but dimmer now. That was stupid, he said. You're welcome. I didn't say thank you. You implied it. He almost smiled again. Almost. Then his knees buckled. Maya caught him before he hit the ground, or tried to. He was too heavy. They both went down. His skin burned against hers. Fever hot. Azrael? Using both sides, he gritted out. Takes a toll. I'll be fine. Just need a minute. But his eyes were closing. His breathing was shallow. Azrael's skin was on fire. Maya dragged him to the mattress in the corner, her muscles screaming in protest. He was dead weight. All 250 pounds of supernatural muscle and bone. When she finally got him down, his eyes were half closed, veins pulsing erratically. Black on one side, gold on the other. Like his body couldn't decide which half to be. What do I do? She pressed her hand to his forehead. The heat was unbearable. Azrael, tell me what to do. Nothing. His voice came out rough, broken. Just wait. Body needs to recalibrate. Recalibrate from what? Using angel and demon power. Simultaneously. It's like putting gasoline and water in the same engine. He coughed, and blood flecked his lips. Eventually something breaks. Panic clawed at her throat. She'd seen men die, had watched Diego take his last breath in a hospital bed while machines beeped their useless warnings. This felt the same. That helpless terror of watching someone slip away. There has to be something. His hand caught hers. Weak. Trembling. Your power. It's healing. Try. I don't know how. You knew how to burn the demon. His golden eye focused on her with effort. Same principle, just different intent. Maya stared at her hands, at the calluses and scars from years of fights. They'd only ever known how to hurt, how to break. The idea that they could heal felt impossible. But impossible had stopped meaning anything 24 hours ago. She placed both palms on his chest, closed her eyes, felt for that heat she'd touched twice now, that door inside her that had cracked open. Nothing happened. I can't, she whispered. Yes, you can. His hand covered hers. Stop trying to force it. Just feel what I need. She tried again. This time, instead of reaching for the power, she reached for him, felt past the burning skin to what lay beneath. And what she found made her gasp. Pain. Oceans of it. Not just from the fight, from centuries of fighting, of being torn between two natures that wanted to destroy each other. Every time he used both sides, it was like setting himself on fire from the inside out. And he did it anyway, over and over, because that was what survival demanded. The heat in her chest ignited. Light flowed from her hands into him. She felt it travel through his body, seeking out the damage. The places where angelic and demonic energy had collided and left wreckage. Her power moved like water, cool and soothing, knitting torn pieces back together. Azrael's breathing steadied. The veins stopped pulsing. His skin temperature dropped from inferno to merely hot. Maya pulled back, gasping. The room spun. She'd given too much, used too much. Her vision grayed at the edges. Easy. Azrael sat up, catching her before she toppled. You drained yourself. Did it work? Look at me. She did. His eyes were clear. No more fevered glow. No more trembling. He looked tired, but whole. It worked, he said quietly. You healed internal damage that should have taken me 3 days to recover from. Good. She tried to stand. Her legs wouldn't cooperate. That's good. You're an idiot. But there was no heat in the words. If anything, he sounded impressed. You barely know how to use your power, and you just poured half your life force into a Nephilim you met yesterday. You were dying. I've died before. I would have come back. That's not funny. Wasn't joking. He shifted, making room for her on the mattress. Sit before you fall. She sat. The world was still spinning. She'd never felt this empty, like someone had scooped out her insides and left a hollow shell. How long until I can do that again? Without killing yourself? A few days? Maybe a week. He grabbed the water bottle she'd abandoned earlier, handed it to her. Drink. Your body needs to replenish. She drank. The water tasted like metal, but it helped. marginally. "Why did you save me?" Azrael asked suddenly. Maya looked at him. "What?" "In the alley. When the angels attacked. You had a clear path to run. Instead, you came back." His expression was unreadable. "Why?" "I don't know." "Yes, you do." She thought about it. About the moment she'd seen him on his knees, surrounded by those perfect white monsters. About the visceral wrongness of watching them hurt him. "Because they were going to kill you," she said finally. "And something in me couldn't let that happen. You didn't even know me." Didn't matter. He stared at her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. Like her existence defied every rule he'd learned in 8 centuries. "You're going to get yourself killed," he said. "Probably. That doesn't bother you? I've been halfway to dead since Diego overdosed." She met his eyes, both of them. Gold and red, beautiful and terrible. "At least now I'm dying for something that matters." "I don't matter." "Yes, you do." The words hung between them. Simple. Absolute. And something in his face cracked. Just for a second. Just long enough for her to see the loneliness underneath. The bone-deep exhaustion of centuries spent as a thing instead of a person. "You don't know what you're saying," he said roughly. "I know exactly what I'm saying." She shifted closer. "You spent 800 years being told you're an abomination, a mistake, something that needs to be erased, but you're not. You're someone who gave up everything to save a stranger, who's been protecting me even though it costs you everything." Her hand found his. "That matters. You matter." Azrael's fingers tightened around hers. His throat worked like he was trying to find words and failing. Finally, he said, "The blood debt doesn't require you to care about me, just to let me protect you until it's repaid." "Screw the blood debt." Maya squeezed his hand. "I'm not here because of supernatural obligation. I'm here because for the first time in 6 months, I feel like I'm fighting for something besides survival." "Maya." A sound from outside cut him off. Footsteps. Multiple sets. Moving with purpose. Azrael was on his feet instantly, sword in hand. The exhaustion vanished, replaced by coiled readiness. "How many?" Maya whispered. 6. No, 7. His eyes glowed faintly. "Celestial. Led by someone powerful. Sariel. Has to be." He moved to the window, staying in the shadows. Looked out. Went very still. "It's him." Maya joined him. Saw the figure standing in the middle of the abandoned street. Tall, though not as tall as Azrael. Silver hair that caught the afternoon light. White robes that looked like they'd never touched dirt. And wings. Actual wings, folded against his back, each feather gleaming like polished marble. "Azrael," the figure called. His voice carried effortlessly, musical, commanding. "I know you're in there. Come out. We need to talk." "Talking isn't what he does," Azrael muttered. "Executing is what he does." "Then why is he alone?" "He's not alone. The other 6 are positioned around the building. Escape routes covered." He gripped the sword tighter. "This is a trap." "What do we do?" "I go out." "There, you stay here." "Absolutely not." "Maya, we're in this together now, remember? Blood debt, supernatural obligation, all that." She grabbed a piece of rebar from the pile of weapons. It wasn't much, but it was something. "Besides, you're still recovering. You need backup. You'll get yourself killed. Then keep me alive." She headed for the door. "Come on, let's go meet your father figure." "He's not my father." "Could have fooled me." Azrael caught her arm. "If this goes bad, if he makes a move, you run. You understand? You take that power of yours and you run as far and as fast as you can. And leave you? I've had a good run. 8 centuries is longer than most Nephilim get." His expression was serious, final. "But you're just starting. Your power could change everything. Heal instead of destroy. The world needs that more than it needs another monster like me." Maya wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him he was wrong. that he wasn't a monster, that she wasn't leaving him, to die for her. But she saw the resolve in his face, the acceptance. So instead, she said, "Let's make sure it doesn't come to that." They walked out together. Sariel stood exactly where he'd been, hands clasped behind his back. Up close, he looked younger than his silver hair suggested. Maybe 30, maybe 3,000. Ageless in the way only Celestials were. His eyes locked on Azrael. Pale blue. Disappointed. 843 years, Sariel said. 843. Years I've trained you, guided you, given you purpose. He shook his head. And you throw it away for a human. She's not just human, Azrael said. No, she's a threat to everything we've built. Sariel's gaze shifted to Maya. The bloodline was supposed to die out. Instead, it awakens in this one. Do you understand what that means? It means you lied, Maya said. Her voice didn't shake. She was proud of that. About what my family could do. About the threat we pose. Sariel smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. You heal, he said. That's your gift. Healing. Beautiful, isn't it? Except you can heal anything. Demons, fallen angels, abominations. He gestured to Azrael. Things that should stay broken. Things that should die. Understanding crashed into Maya like a freight train. You don't want to kill me because I'm dangerous, she said slowly. You want to kill me because I could save them. Precisely. Sariel spread his wings, 30 feet across. Blinding white. The natural order requires that abominations suffer for their existence. Your power undermines that order. Therefore, you must be removed. Azrael moved in front of her. You'll have to go through me. I was hoping you'd say that. Sariel moved like light itself. One moment he stood 30 feet away. The next, his hand was around Azrael's throat, lifting him off the ground. Wings flared, and the air crackled with power so intense Maya's skin prickled. You were my greatest success, Sariel said. His voice held genuine sorrow. The perfect balance. Angel and demon working in harmony. I shaped you into something beautiful. Azrael clawed at the hand choking him. His veins turned black, shadows erupting from his skin. Sariel didn't even flinch. And you threw it away. The angel's grip tightened. For what? A human who will be dust in 60 years? A bloodline that threatens the very fabric of our laws? Maya swung the rebar. It connected with Sariel's head. The impact jarred her arms, nearly made her drop. The weapon. Sariel turned to look at her. Blood trickled from his temple. He seemed more curious than hurt. Brave, he observed, and foolish. He released Azrael, who collapsed gasping. Before Maya could react, Sariel's hand was around her throat. His palm was warm, almost gentle. I could snap your neck right now, he said conversationally. End this before it escalates further. It would be a mercy, really. Quick, painless. Then do it. Maya forced the words out past the pressure on her. Windpipe. Maya, don't. Azrael's voice was raw. Sariel tilted his head. You want to die? I want you to stop pretending you're doing this for noble reasons. She met his pale eyes. You're not maintaining order. You're maintaining control. There's a difference. Something flickered across his face. Respect, maybe. You're right, he said. I am maintaining control. Because without it, without the laws we've established over millennia, chaos reigns. Demons corrupt freely. Angels fall. Nephilim. Multiply. Humanity learns of things it was never meant to know. His fingers tightened fractionally. Your gift threatens that control. Therefore, you threaten everything. She threatens nothing. Azrael was on his feet, swaying. You just admitted it. She heals. That's all. That's everything. Sariel's voice hardened. She could heal the fallen. Give them back their grace. Restore what was taken as punishment. Do you understand what that would mean? Every exile, every sentence, every consequence we've imposed for 10,000 years becomes meaningless. Maya understood then. It wasn't about maintaining order. It was about maintaining punishment. About keeping the fallen broken so they'd never challenge heaven again. Let her go, Azrael said quietly. Your fight is with me. My fight is with both of you. But Sariel released her. Maya stumbled back, hand to her throat. You've bonded with her. I can see it. Blood debt and something more. That connection makes you weak. It makes me human. Exactly. Sariel drew a blade from thin air, white metal that gleamed like captured starlight. And humanity is what got you exiled in the first place. He attacked. The blade came down in an arc meant to bisect Azrael from shoulder to hip. Azrael blocked with his own sword, but the force drove him to one knee. Sparks flew where the weapons met, white and black, divine and infernal. They moved too fast for Maya to follow. A blur of strikes and counters, each one powerful enough to shatter stone. The ground cracked beneath their feet. The air itself seemed to scream. And Azrael was losing. Every block came a fraction slower. Every counter was deflected with ease. Sariel hadn't been exaggerating. He knew every move Azrael would make, had probably taught him every technique he was using. You're holding back, Sariel said. He drove his knee into Azrael's ribs. Bone cracked. You're afraid of hurting me, even now. Azrael spat blood. You were all I had. And you disappointed me. Another strike. This one opened a gash across Azrael's chest. Just like you disappointed the court when you saved that girl. Just like you're disappointing me now by protecting this one. Then I guess disappointing you is my specialty. Sariel's expression shifted. Pain flashed across his features. I don't want to kill you, Azrael. Come back. Help me end this bloodline and all is forgiven. Your exile is lifted. Your place at my side restored. Azrael laughed. It came out. Wet. You think I'd trade her life for a place in your court? I think you're a weapon that's forgotten its purpose. Good. Azrael straightened, despite the blood pouring down his chest. Because I'm done being anyone's weapon. He attacked with everything he had. Black veins consumed his arms, his chest, his face. Shadows exploded from his body, taking physical form. They wrapped around Sariel like chains, pulling, constricting. The angel's wings beat furiously, trying to break free. Maya! Azrael's voice was distorted, demonic. Run! She didn't run. She reached for the power inside her. That door that had opened. She threw it wide. Light burst from her hands, not aimed at Sariel, aimed at Azrael, at the wounds covering his body, at the fractures in his ribs, at the damage he'd sustained fighting for her. The light hit him, and he gasped. His veins pulsed gold. The demon shadows faltered. What are you doing? He choked out. Helping. She pushed more power into him. Felt it knit. His ribs back together. Seal the gash across his chest. It drained her, left her shaking, but she held on. You said it yourself. We're in this together. Sariel watched this with something like horror. Impossible, he breathed. She's channeling holy energy into a Nephilim. That should burn him, destroy his demon half. But it wasn't destroying anything. It was strengthening. The gold and black veins pulsed in rhythm now, no longer at war with each other. Azrael's eyes glowed brighter. Both of them, working together for the first time in 8 centuries. He looked at his hands, at the balance of light and dark flowing through them. I can feel it, he said, wonder in his voice. Both sides, working as one. Sariel's face went cold. This is exactly why she must die. He raised his blade, not aimed at Azrael, aimed at Maya. Time slowed. Maya saw the strike coming, knew she couldn't dodge. Her body was empty, drained from healing Azrael. She had nothing left. Azrael moved. He crossed. The distance, faster than light, grabbed Sariel's blade with his bare hand and held it inches from Maya's heart. Blood poured from his palm where the holy metal cut deep. But he didn't let go. "You taught me many things," Azrael said. His voice was steady, despite the agony that had to be ripping through him. "You taught me to fight, to survive, to serve." He met Sariel's eyes. "But you never taught me this, that something could be worth dying for." "That's because nothing is," Sariel said. "You're wrong." Azrael smiled. It was sad and certain and final. "She is." He yanked the blade, pulling Sariel off balance, and slammed his forehead into the angel's face. Sariel stumbled back. Azrael swept his legs, drove him to the ground, and pressed his sword to the angel's throat. They froze like that. Student and teacher, weapon and maker. "I could kill you," Azrael said quietly. "You know I could. Then do it." Sariel's voice was empty. "Prove you've truly fallen." Azrael's hand shook. Maya saw the war on his face. 800 years of loyalty versus 48 hours of something new. Something fragile. "He's not going to kill you," Maya said. She walked over on unsteady legs, placed her hand on Azrael's shoulder. "Because he's better than you think he is." Sariel's eyes found hers. "You believe that?" "I know that." She looked at Azrael. At the man who'd saved her twice, who'd chosen her over redemption, who'd taken a holy blade meant for her heart. "He's not your weapon. Anymore. He's his own person. And he chooses mercy." Azrael closed his eyes, took a shaking breath. Then he lowered the sword. "Leave," he told Sariel. "Tell the court whatever you want, but leave us alone." Sariel stood slowly. Blood ran from his broken nose. He looked at Azrael with something that might have been grief. "You'll regret this," he said. "When the court sends someone less merciful than me, when they tear her apart in front of you to make you watch, you'll remember this moment and wish you'd killed me." "Maybe." Azrael's voice was rough. "But at least I'll still be able to look at myself in the mirror." Sariel's wings spread. "You were the best thing I ever created. I was never yours to create." The angel took flight. His 6 soldiers materialized from their positions and followed. Within seconds, they were gone. Azrael dropped to his knees. Maya caught him before he collapsed completely. His hand was still bleeding from where he'd grabbed the blade. The wound was deep. Holy weapons didn't heal like normal injuries. They left scars that never fully closed. "You idiot," she whispered. "You beautiful, stupid idiot." "Had to." His head lolled against her shoulder. "Couldn't let him hurt you." "I know." She pressed her forehead to his. "I know." They stayed like that as the sun set. 2 broken things holding each other up. 2 people who'd found something worth fighting for in the wreckage of their lives. And somewhere in the distance, wings beat against the sky, carrying news that would change everything. The bloodline was active. The Nephilim had chosen her over heaven. War was coming. Maya dreamed of fire, not the destructive kind, living fire. Gold and crimson dancing together, neither consuming the other. They spiraled through darkness, 2 flames that shouldn't exist in the same space but did anyway. Beautiful. Impossible. She woke to find Azrael sitting at the table, staring at his bandaged hand. 3 days had passed since Sariel left. 3 days of waiting for the other shoe to drop, for angels to descend, or demons to attack, or the world to end. Instead, there was only silence, the kind that made your teeth ache. "Can't sleep?" she asked. He didn't turn around. "Don't need much. 4 hours every few days. Must be nice. It's lonely." He flexed his fingers, wincing as the wound pulled. 8 centuries of nights with nothing but your thoughts for company. You learn to hate silence. Maya got up, joints protesting. Her body still ached from channeling so much power. She'd spent most of the last 3 days sleeping, eating, and trying not to think about the fact that heaven itself wanted her dead. She sat across from him. "Let me see it." "It's fine." "Azrael." He sighed and unwrapped the bandage. The wound looked worse than it had 3 days ago. Angry red, edges black with something that definitely wasn't infection. The skin around it had started to crack, spreading up his forearm like fractured glass. Holy wounds don't heal. "Normal," he said at her expression. "They spread. Eventually, if left untreated, they consume everything they touch. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because there's nothing you can do. Your power heals natural damage. This is divine punishment. It's designed to be permanent." "That's bullshit." Maya placed her hands over the wound. "Nothing's permanent." "Maya, don't. You're still recovering from..." Heat exploded from her palms. But it was different this time. Not the wild, uncontrolled burst from before. Focused. Deliberate. She felt the power move through her like a river that had finally found its proper course. It sought out the holy energy corrupting his hand and didn't fight it. Wrapped around it. Transformed it. Gold light spread from the wound, racing up his arm. Where it touched the black cracks, they sealed. The angry redness faded to pink, then to healthy skin. When she pulled back, gasping, the wound was gone. Only a white scar remained. Azrael stared at his hand like he'd never seen it before. "That's not possible," he whispered. "Apparently it is. Divine wounds are meant to be eternal, permanent reminders of transgression." He looked at her with something like awe. "You just unmade divine law." "Good. Your laws are terrible anyway." He laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was bright and real and so unexpected that Maya found herself smiling despite the exhaustion making her sway. "You need to rest," he said, standing. He caught her before she toppled. "You just burned through a week's worth of recovery in 5 minutes. Worth it." He carried her to the mattress, set her down gently. His hand lingered on her shoulder, thumb brushing the hollow of her throat. Where Sariel had grabbed her, a bruise had formed. 5 perfect fingerprints. "I should have been faster," Azrael said quietly. "You were fast enough. Not fast enough to stop him from touching you." His jaw worked. "If I'd been stronger, better, you wouldn't have this." Maya caught his hand. "If you'd been different, you wouldn't have spared him. And that choice, that mercy, was the most beautiful thing I've seen. Beautiful." He said it like the word was foreign. "There's nothing beautiful about me." "That's not true. Maya, you gave up heaven for me, fought your mentor, chose to let him live even though it would have been easier to kill him." She squeezed his hand. "That's beautiful. You're beautiful." He stared at her, both eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Gold and red. Angel and demon. Warring halves that she'd somehow helped balance. "I don't deserve your kindness," he said. "You don't get to decide what you deserve. I do." She pulled him down to sit beside her. "And I've decided you deserve someone who sees you as more than a weapon or a mistake." "What do you see?" "Someone who's been alone too long." She reached up, traced the scar across his collarbone. "Someone who's forgotten he's allowed to want things for himself." His hand covered hers. "And if what I want is impossible, then we'll make it possible." She met his eyes. Together. The word hung between them. Together. A promise and a threat. Because together meant consequences. Meant heaven and hell both coming for them. Meant a war neither of them could win. But looking at him, at the way he held her hand like it was something precious, Maya realized she didn't care. "There's something you need to know," Azrael said. "About the bond." "What about it?" "It's not just blood debt anymore." He looked uncomfortable. Vulnerable. "When you healed me during the fight with Sariel, when you channeled light into me while I was using demon power, that shouldn't have worked. Should have torn me apart. But it didn't. No. Because we're connected now. Mate bond." He He said the words like an apology. It's rare. Only forms between compatible souls. Means we can feel each other. Emotions. Pain. Eventually, thoughts. Maya processed this. So you can feel what I'm feeling right now? Yes. And what am I feeling? His eyes darkened. You're not afraid. No. You should be. Mate bonds are permanent, unbreakable. If I die, part of you dies. If you're hurt, I feel it. His grip tightened. You're bound to a Nephilim, an exile, something both heaven and hell want dead. I know. And that doesn't terrify you? Maya thought about it. About Diego dying alone in an alley. About years of fighting just to survive. About the emptiness that had consumed her since his death. Being alone. Terrifies me more, she said honestly. And for the first time in 6 months, I don't feel alone. Something in his expression cracked. The careful control he'd maintained for 8 centuries fracturing to reveal the loneliness underneath. The desperate, aching need to be seen as something other than an abomination. You're going to ruin me, he whispered. Good. You need ruining. He leaned forward slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His forehead touched hers. His breath ghosted. Across her lips, warm and slightly unsteady. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. Do what? Care about someone. Want someone. His hand cupped her face. I've forgotten how to be anything but a weapon. Then learn. She closed the distance between them. We'll figure it out together. The kiss was gentle, tentative, like he was afraid she'd break. Maya deepened it, pouring everything she couldn't say into the contact. All the fear and hope and desperate need to hold on to this one good thing in the wreckage of her life. When they pulled apart, his eyes were wide, amazed. I felt that, he said, through the bond. Everything you're feeling. What am I feeling? Safe. His voice was rough. You feel safe with me. I am safe with you. He pulled her close, wrapped around her like he could shield her from the world through sheer will. And maybe he could. Maybe that was enough. They stayed like that as night deepened into morning. 2 broken souls finding shelter in each other. But peace never lasted. The window shattered. Azrael moved before the glass hit the ground, shoving Maya behind him. A figure stood in the broken frame. Not angel, not demon. Something else. Human. But wrong. The woman wore tactical gear, carried weapons that gleamed with etched symbols. Her eyes were cold. Professional. Azrael, the fallen, she said. Her voice was clipped. Military. And Maya Cardoso, bloodline carrier. You're both wanted by the Celestial Court for... Azrael's hand shot out. Shadows wrapped around her throat, cutting off words. Hunter, he spat. Human dogs who do heaven's dirty work. The woman smiled, despite the shadows choking her. Reached into her vest and pulled a pin. Grenade. Azrael threw Maya toward the back exit, shielding her body with his as the explosion tore through the warehouse. Fire and force and screaming metal. The ceiling collapsed. Debris rained down. When the dust cleared, the woman was gone. But written on the wall in something that glowed. Like captured starlight were 3 words. 3 days. Surrender. Azrael stood, bleeding from a dozen cuts. We need to leave. Now. Where do we go? He looked at her. At the determination in her face. At the light still flickering faintly beneath her skin. Somewhere they'd never look, he said. Somewhere even I swore I'd never return. Where? His expression went dark, haunted. The place where I fell. Where I became this. He gestured to himself. There's a sanctuary there. Hidden. Protected by wards older than the courts themselves. If we can reach it, we'll have time to prepare. Prepare for what? War. He pulled her to her feet. Because that ultimatum wasn't a negotiation. It was a declaration. In 3 days, they're coming with everything they have. Then we'd better be ready. He almost smiled. You say that like we have a chance. We do. Maya grabbed her duffel bag, grabbed his hand. Because they're expecting a weapon and an abomination they're not expecting. Us. And what are we? She looked at him. At the man who'd chosen her over redemption. Who'd spared his mentor despite every reason to kill. Who'd bound himself to her despite knowing it meant war. Something new, she said. The sanctuary existed in the space between worlds. Maya felt the transition like stepping through a membrane. Reality bent, twisted, and suddenly they were somewhere else. Somewhere impossible. A cathedral carved from living stone. Walls that pulsed with bioluminescent. Veins. Stained glass windows depicting scenes that moved. Battles between light and dark that played out in endless loops. And silence. The kind that pressed against your eardrums until they ached. This place shouldn't exist, Azrael said quietly. His voice echoed wrong, like the walls were eating the sound. It was built by the first fallen. Angels who questioned before questioning was exile. They created this as refuge, neutral ground where neither court could reach. Maya turned slowly, taking it in. How many know about this? Dozens knew. Once. He moved through the space like a ghost. Most are dead now, executed for harboring the location. I'm one of maybe 5 left alive who remember the way in. Why bring me here if it's so secret? Because in 2 days we face an army. He stopped at an altar. On it lay weapons, dozens of them, each marked with symbols that hurt to look at directly. And I need you to understand what we're fighting for. He picked up a sword. Smaller than his usual blade, lighter. The metal was dark, almost black. But when light hit it, rainbows danced across the surface. This belonged to Ethereal, one of the first fallen. She questioned why free will was given to humans but denied to angels. He set it down carefully. They ripped her wings off for that question, literally tore them from her back while she screamed. Then they cast her down and watched her burn. Maya's stomach turned. For asking a question? For daring to think angels deserve the same freedom as humans. He moved to another weapon, a staff carved from white wood. This was Penamuse. He taught humans to write, to record knowledge, to share information across generations. Azrael's jaw tightened. They blinded him for it. Said humans weren't meant to have permanent memory. That knowledge was divine privilege. These people, Maya said slowly, they were punished for helping humanity. They were punished for recognizing humanity's potential. He turned to Baal. Face her. The Celestial Court doesn't hate humans. They fear them. Fear what happens when mortal beings are given the same tools as immortal ones. So they keep you ignorant, keep you weak. And when someone like Isabel comes along, someone who proves humans can channel divine power naturally, they eliminate the threat. Understanding crashed into Maya. They're not protecting cosmic order. They're protecting their monopoly on power. Exactly. Azrael gestured to the cathedral around them. This place is proof that angels can choose, can think, can love and question and sacrifice for something beyond duty. That's the real sin, not disobedience. Choice. Maya walked to the altar, ran her fingers over the weapons. Each one represented someone who'd been destroyed for daring to be more than what they were created to be. How did you end up here? She asked. After you fell. I was feral, newly transformed. The demon half wanted to destroy everything. The angel half wanted to die. He stared at his hands. I wandered for months, killing anything that got close, until Sariel found me, brought me here, showed me these weapons, these stories. He said I had a choice. Let the demon consume me, or learn to balance both halves. He helped you. He saved me, gave me purpose when I had none. Azrael's voice went hollow. That's why sparing him hurt so much, because part of me still loves him, still sees him as the one who kept me from becoming a complete monster. Maya moved to him, took his face in her hands. You're not a monster. You never were. I've killed Maya. Hundreds, maybe thousands over 8 centuries. On his orders. Does that make it better? It makes you a victim too. She held his gaze. You were shaped into a weapon by someone who saved you just to use you. That's not your fault. The people I killed would disagree. Maybe, but they're not here. I am. She pressed her forehead to his. And I see someone who's been carrying guilt for crimes he committed while trying to survive. Someone who finally chose mercy over duty. That counts for something. It counts for exile and execution. Then we fight. He pulled back, searching her face. You understand what that means? If we stand against the court, there's no going back, no negotiation, no surrender. They'll send everything they have. Let them. Maya, I'm done running, done hiding. She grabbed one of the weapons from the altar, a dagger with a blade that shimmered like oil on. Water. My whole life I've been told to keep my head down. Don't make waves. Survive. And where did it get me? My brother's dead. I'm drowning in his debts. And apparently, heaven wants me erased for the crime of existing. She turned the dagger, watching light play across the metal. These people you told me about, the first fallen, they fought for the right to choose, to think, to be more than tools. She met his eyes. I want that. For both of us, even if it costs everything. Azrael stared at her like she'd just rewritten his entire understanding of the universe. You're insane, he said. Probably. We'll die. Maybe. You're not afraid. Terrified. She smiled. But I'd rather die fighting than live on my knees. He crossed the distance between them in 2 strides. Kissed her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. When they broke apart, his eyes glowed bright enough to cast shadows. The bond, he gasped. I can feel everything. Your determination, your fear, He stopped, overwhelmed. My what? Your belief that we can actually win this. He laughed, the sound half broken. How can you believe that? Because they're expecting a weapon and a bloodline. 2 separate threats to eliminate. She took his hand, felt the warmth of him, the pulse of power beneath his skin. They're not expecting us to be stronger together. Your healing and my destruction. Your balance and my potential. She squeezed his fingers. When you fought Serial, and I channeled power into you, what happened? Both halves synchronized, worked together instead of at war. Exactly. My power doesn't just heal, it harmonizes. She felt the truth of it as she spoke. That's what terrifies them. Not that I can heal Nephilim, that I can help them become whole. Unified. Stronger than they were divided. Azrael's expression shifted. Dawning realization and something like hope. If other Nephilim learned that, he said slowly, if they discovered they didn't have to be torn apart by their dual nature, they'd stop being victims. They'd become threats. Maya grinned. Real threats. Not to humanity, to the courts that want them broken. You want to start a revolution. I want to survive. Revolution's just a side effect. He laughed again. This time it sounded almost happy. You're going to change everything. We're going to change everything. The correction made his expression soften. He pulled her close, buried his face in her hair. She felt his heart racing. Through the bond. Felt his fear and his hope and his desperate, aching need to believe this could work. 2 days, he murmured. We have 2 days to prepare. Then let's not waste them. They spent the next hours training. Azrael teaching her to fight properly, not just brawl. How to use her smaller size as advantage. How to read an opponent's movements. How to kill efficiently. Maya taught him something else. How to accept her power without fighting it. How to let the angel and demon halves synchronize instead of compete. It was harder than combat training. Required vulnerability he'd spent centuries avoiding. But slowly, painfully, They found rhythm. By the second day, they moved like extensions of each other. He'd strike, she'd heal. She'd channel, he'd amplify. Two parts of something that had never existed before. Something the courts would fear. On the third morning, they stood at the cathedral entrance. Beyond it, reality waited. And with it, an army. Last chance to run. Azrael said. Where would we go? Anywhere, everywhere. We could hide for decades, maybe centuries. Living in fear? Maya shook her head. That's not living. No. He took her hand. It's not. They stepped through together. The world materialized around them. Industrial district, abandoned street, and standing in formation, blocking every exit, were at least 30 figures in white. Celestial hunters. Human soldiers augmented with divine weapons. Led by someone Maya recognized. Sariel stood. At the center, wings spread, face expressionless. Azrael, he called. Maya Cardoso, you're both under arrest by order of the Celestial Court. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. And if we refuse, Azrael's voice was steady, then they'll be slow. Maya felt fear spike through the bond. Azrael's fear. For her. For what was about to happen. She squeezed his hand, pushed certainty back through the connection. Together, she whispered. Together, he agreed. They stepped forward. The Awa hunters raised their weapons, and somewhere deep in Maya's chest, where the door to her power lived, something cracked wide open. Light exploded from her body, not the controlled bursts from before. A supernova, blinding, all-consuming. It washed over the hunters and they screamed, not in pain, in ecstasy. Because Maya's power didn't burn, it healed. And every hunter there carried wounds, some physical, most spiritual. Doubts about their orders, guilt for the kills they'd made, questions they'd buried. Her light found those wounds and sealed them, and in doing so, set them free. The hunters lowered their weapons. Not all of them, but enough. 7 out of 30 dropped to their knees, tears streaming down their faces. They stared at their hands like seeing them for the first time. What did you do? One of them whispered. A woman with scars across her throat. I don't feel the compulsion anymore. Sariel's face went pale. No, that's impossible. Divine binding can't be broken by... It wasn't divine binding, Maya said. Her voice carried across the street despite the exhaustion making her sway. It was trauma, guilt, shame. You took broken people and weaponized their pain, made them think serving you was the only way to be worthy. More hunters faltered, weapons dipping, the formation fracturing. I freed them, Maya continued. Showed them they were always worthy, always enough. They don't need your approval to exist. Sariel's wings flared. You've contaminated my soldiers, made them weak. I made them human again. Seize them, Sariel commanded, but his voice lacked the absolute certainty from before. Doubt had crept in. Maya could see it in the way he held himself, the way his eyes tracked the hunters who weren't moving to obey. Azrael stepped forward. His veins pulsed gold and black in perfect rhythm. Synchronized. Whole. You taught me that strength comes from control, he said. From dominating both halves of my nature until one. Submitted. He gestured to himself. But you were wrong. Strength comes from harmony, from letting both sides exist without war. You're an abomination, Sariel said. But the word came out uncertain. Maybe. But I'm an abomination who gets to choose. Azrael's hand found Maya's. And I choose her. I choose this, whatever comes next. The remaining hunters who still held weapons looked at each other, confused, uncertain, their absolute faith in divine orders cracking under the weight of questions they'd never been allowed to ask. You want to fight us? Maya asked Sariel. then fight us. But these people don't have to die for your war. Let them choose." "Angels don't choose," Sariel said. But he was looking at the 7 hunters on their knees, at the tears on their faces, at the freedom in their expressions. Choice is human weakness. "No." The voice came from behind Sariel, one of the hunters, an older man with gray hair and hands that shook. "Choice is human strength. And you made us forget that." He dropped his weapon. Another hunter followed. Then another. Within seconds, only 5 remained standing with Sariel. 5 out of 30. The angel looked at his remaining soldiers, at the deserters, at Azrael and Maya standing together, light and shadow twining between them like living things. "This isn't over," he said quietly. "No," Azrael agreed, "but it's not the war you wanted." Sariel's wings folded. For a moment he looked tired, ancient, weighed down by millennia of absolute certainty crumbling. "What would you have me do?" he asked. "Let you exist? Let this bloodline spread? Watch as the order we've maintained for 10,000 years collapses?" "Yes," Maya said simply. "You don't understand what you're asking. Without order, without structure, chaos reigns. Maybe." She squeezed Azrael's hand, felt his strength flow through the bond. "Or maybe what you call chaos is just freedom, and you're terrified of what happens when people are finally free to choose their own paths." Sariel stared at her, through her, like he was seeing past this moment to all the futures branching from it. "If I let you live," he said slowly, "others will follow. Other bloodlines will awaken. Other Nephilim will seek balance. The courts will fracture." "Good. You'd destroy everything we've built? You built it on corpses and fear." Maya's voice was gentle despite the words. "Maybe it's time to build something else." "And what would you build?" "I don't know yet." She looked at the hunters who'd dropped their weapons, at the ones still standing, at Azrael, who'd spent 8 centuries as a weapon and was finally becoming a person. "But it'll be better than this." Sariel was quiet for a long moment. Then he turned to his remaining 5 soldiers. "Go," he told them. "Sir?" one asked. "I said go. Report to the court. Tell them." He paused. "Tell them the targets escaped. I need more forces to contain the situation." The soldiers hesitated, then obeyed. They vanished in bursts of light, leaving Sariel alone with Azrael, Maya, and 25 hunters who no longer knew what side they were on. "Why?" Azrael asked. "Because you were right." Sariel's shoulders sagged. "About control, about choice. I've spent 1,000 years enforcing laws I stopped questioning centuries ago, and in that time, I've created more suffering than I've prevented." He looked at his hands. "The girl you saved, the one who got you exiled. Her name was Eliana. Did you know that?" Azrael went still. "No. She lived 73 more years, married, had children, grandchildren, died peacefully in her sleep surrounded by family." Sariel's voice cracked. "The plan that required her death? It failed anyway. She didn't need to die. I sent you to enforce a pointless execution. Why are you telling me this? Because I need you to understand. The court isn't infallible. Our orders aren't divine truth. They're just orders, given by beings who've forgotten how to question." He met Azrael's eyes. "You questioned, and I punished you for it. Made you suffer for centuries because you dared to value one human life over abstract order." "You can't take that back," Azrael said. "No, but I can stop perpetuating it." Sariel turned to Maya. "Your bloodline isn't a threat. It's proof that humans don't need us to access the divine. That grace exists outside our hierarchy, and that terrifies the court because it makes us obsolete." "What will you do?" Maya asked. "I'll return to the court. Tell them I need time to strategize. Buy you weeks, maybe months. He spread his wings. Use that time wisely. Because when they realize I'm stalling, they'll send someone who won't hesitate. Someone who doesn't carry 800 years of regret. You'll be executed for this, Azrael said. Probably. Sariel smiled. It looked painful. But you taught me something today. Both of you. That mercy isn't weakness. That choosing compassion over duty isn't failure. He looked at Azrael. I'm proud of what you've become. I should have said that 8 centuries ago. Sariel, don't. The angel raised a hand. Don't forgive me. I don't deserve it. Just survive. Both of you. Build whatever comes next. Make it better than what we had. He took flight. Maya watched him disappear into the sky, felt Azrael's emotions through the bond. Grief and relief, and something that felt like closure. The hunters who remained stood uncertainly, free from compulsion, but lost without purpose. What now? One of them asked. Maya looked at them, at people who'd been weapons their whole lives, who'd never been given the choice to be anything else. Now you decide, she said, who you want to be, what you want to fight for, if you want to fight at all. And you? The older hunter asked. What will you do? Maya looked at Azrael, at the man who'd chosen her over redemption, who'd taught her that strength came in forms she'd never imagined. We'll keep going, she said. Help others like us, Nephilim who are tired of being torn apart, humans with gifts they don't understand, anyone who's been told they're too broken to deserve peace. That's not a small task, the hunter said. No. She smiled. But nothing worth doing ever is. They left the street together. Maya and Azrael and 25 former hunters who'd chosen freedom over orders. It wasn't an army, wasn't even a plan, but it was a start. 3 months later, the sanctuary had become something new. Not a refuge for the first fallen, a haven for anyone caught between worlds, Nephilim seeking balance, humans discovering abilities they'd been taught to fear, even a few angels who'd started to question. Maya stood in the cathedral, teaching a young Nephilim how to harmonize her dual nature. The girl was 16, newly transformed, terrified of the demon half that whispered violent things. It's not evil, Maya told her. It's just part of you. Like anger or fear. You don't have to destroy it. You just have to understand it. The girl's veins pulsed erratically, gold and black fighting for dominance. But what if I hurt someone? Then you learn from it. Make amends. Try again. Maya took her hands. Let healing light flow gently. Being whole doesn't mean being perfect. It means accepting all of yourself, even the parts that scare you. The girl's veins slowly synchronized. Her breathing steadied. Tears ran down her face. Thank you, she whispered. Maya hugged her, felt the weight of responsibility settle deeper. This was what the courts feared. Not destruction, transformation. People learning they didn't need permission to be whole. Azrael found her later, on the roof, watching the sunset paint reality in impossible colors. 23 new arrivals today, he said, settling beside her. Words spreading faster than I expected. Scared. Terrified. He took her hand, but also hopeful. Which is new. Good new or bad new? Haven't decided yet. He looked at her, gold and red eyes soft in the fading light. Thank you. For what? For seeing me, all of me, and not running. Maya leaned into him, felt his warmth, his strength, his unshakable presence beside her. Thank you for being worth seeing, she said. They sat like that as night fell. 2 people who'd been told they were too broken to matter, who'd found each other in the wreckage and built something beautiful from the pieces. The war wasn't over. The courts would come eventually. Sariel's sacrifice had bought time, not peace. But for now, in this moment, they were free. and that was enough. What would you do if the world told you that you were too broken to matter? That your very existence was a mistake that needed correcting? Maya and Azrael were both handed that verdict. She was drowning in grief and debt, fighting just to survive one more day. He was a weapon forged from exile, told for 8 centuries that he was an abomination with no right to choose his own path. But when they found each other in the wreckage, something impossible happened. They didn't just survive, they transformed. She taught him that mercy wasn't weakness. He showed her that strength came in forms she'd never imagined. Together, they proved that the most radical act of rebellion isn't violence. It's refusing to accept that you're too damaged to deserve love, purpose, and freedom. This story asks us to consider, how many times have we let others define our worth? How often have we believed we were too broken, too different, too much of a mistake to deserve happiness? Maya could have run. Azrael could have obeyed. Instead, they chose each other. They chose to build something new from the ashes of what they'd lost. And in doing so, they didn't just save themselves. They created a sanctuary for everyone who'd ever been told they were too fractured to be whole. That's the power of refusing to be what others demand you to be. That's the courage it takes to look at your scars and say, "These don't define me. They refine me." So ask yourself, what would you fight for if you knew the cost would be everything? What parts of yourself have you been taught to suppress, to fear, to hide? And what might happen if you finally let those pieces exist without shame? If this story moved you, if it made you question the chains you didn't know you were wearing, then share it. Let it reach someone who needs to hear that they're not too broken to deserve peace. Hit that like button. Subscribe to keep these stories coming. And remember, you are not the weapon someone else forged you to be. You are the person you choose to become. And that choice, that beautiful, terrifying choice, changes everything.